channel. I still got some of the recipes that I did from Fit Chef that I'm going to be putting up. I do believe later tonight, early tomorrow. So you're gonna see some more videos up there from the cooking side of things because cook as well. And then we're running through some ads to try to get a little bit more outreach. And since we're doing that, we're probably going to start releasing more other videos throughout the week as well. It's just got to get a feel for some of the changes that's happening on the platform. Either way it goes, you guys are going to see a lot more productivity out of the platform, but you're also going to always get valued content. So that's one of the things that you guys can look forward to. So let's go ahead and see if the audio is not going to give us problems, because when we're on this live, things happen that just cannot be undone. And because the only editing that's happening is after the show, the post live edits, that's going to be the only thing that's going to get changed out. The live is live, so I just got to adapt to it. So if the audio file don't work the way it's supposed to work, I'm going to figure something out. But I think that part should be uninterrupted. So let's see what's going on here.
I think I just fell out of love with my husband. My husband and I spoke tonight. It was productive. We have couples counseling Monday. We both were able to talk and receive each other's thoughts and feelings. We both agree we want things better and moving forward. We discussed my grief and his comments, which was poorly timed concerns and miscommunication. I posted this at the height of my emotions and needed to vent and literally had no one to talk to. So I went to strangers on the internet. Was that a good idea? Ick. I'm a 30-year-old female. A little backstory. There's definitely been some tension put on our relationship throughout the past year, just from life. We had our second child. I battled postpartum. I had several health issues come up, 5 surgeries in 1 year. He changed jobs. This was a big one. I was relocated to a different school on the 4th day of school. Teacher here. There's just been a lot of stressors. Finally, about 2 months ago, we reached a point where we were in an argument and we decided we needed outside help. So we've been seeing a marriage counselor. It was going fine. She's had nothing but positive things to say about our progress. We started a marriage devotional we were doing every night. Until about 2 weeks ago. Last week, I reached a breaking point where I needed a break. I needed some me time to refill my cup. He was working every other day. He works 24-hour shifts, and it's a 45-minute drive from our house. So I was solo parenting a lot. My 4-year-old is very headstrong and started having some unwanted behaviors. My 1-year-old is Velcro, and I've been struggling with my migraines and getting them under control again. So I broke. I went to my mom crying, knowing we are tight on money. I asked her for some money for a hotel just for me to get away for a night or two.
Hold on, she got a lot of shit to say. She ain't done yet, but Michael, you said poor me. I'm nuts. Get a dog. Look, she's got this really long backstory that we're about to finish up real quick, and it's insane because she's got a man that's working 24-hour shifts. She bitching because she's got to have the child primarily 36 hours because if he's working 24 hours straight, he's gonna sleep for 10 right after that, which means she gets a half a day off from the kid. One of the things that I notice about a lot of these complaints when there's dual roles, especially when so she's a teacher, or I guess, or something like that because she got transferred. I would assume that she would be a teacher as an employee, not just a student being transferred. Not because students don't get forced transferred. And so she works during the day, she's with the kid, and then the husband works all day and all night, and then when he's not at work, he's with the kid. So they're both doing their due diligence. But when he's off from work and he's not asleep, he's with the kid because she's at her breaking point. She's got to take these breaks. She's got to walk away from the relationship. My concern about these types of relationships is that there's always going to be a selfish person in the relationship that isn't really working towards the betterment of both parties. While she's overwhelmed, he's overwhelmed too. And she's not thinking about how let's take turns taking breaks. Or let's hire a babysitter and let the babysitter take care of the kid and we both take a fucking break. She's not thinking about that. She's just, woe is me. My life sucks because my husband works too much. Well, she could stop spending the money, and then there would be more money in the house, and then she wouldn't have to work as much because he's still going to work. But I don't understand why. We haven't gotten to why she's got a complaint, but she has a complaint. She gave us this long backstory of a hardworking husband and a good father, and he's not cheating on her, but she's pissed off. I don't know what she's pissed off about, so we're going to get there. David said women whining about chores when they got the easy household responsibilities, bro. Special shout out to David. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. David says clothes wash themselves in the machine, dishwashers exit. Vacuuming is easy, bro. They got sharks out there, Roomba, stuff like that to vacuum the floor for you. um Women complain about having it easy. Well, they don't count the money anymore. They don't budget. They don't finance in the relationship. That's supposed to be the man's job. I don't know why, because women used to be good at counting the money. Women used to be good at keeping the budget. Women used to be good at taking good care of their men and buying their man's clothes and making sure that the stuff that was done around the house was done so that when the man got home, he did all the backbreaking things. Women were really good at that back in the day. And now, these days in 2025, women don't really do that. They don't really do much. There are some that still do that, but there's a lot of them that complain about that and call it, like, oppressive behavior. But this was some of the best things that women could do. And when women stopped doing it, men started creating machines that did it for us. But how hard is it for a woman to take a handful of dishes and put it in the dishwasher and press start? How hard is it to take a machine of clothes and put them in the wash machine and press start, and then let the husband take it out of the machine, put it in the dryer? Then she could take it out of the dryer and she could fold them up, put them away while he's taking care of the kid. There is teamwork. I used to be in a relationship where I would start the chores and my girl would finish the chores. I would put the dishes in the dishwasher, start the machine on our way to bed, put the clothes in the washing machine, and start the machine on our way to bed. Whoever got up first, usually her, would take the stuff out of the dishwasher, put the dishwasher away, take the stuff out of the washing machine, put it into the dryer. Whoever came back from work first would take the stuff out of the dryer, start putting the clothes away, and share the responsibilities. Buy you a shark, you got a vacuum cleaner moving around the house 3 times a day till you get home, and then the only thing you got left to do is probably mop and then sweep whatever the vacuum cleaner didn't get. And then if you got dogs, take the dogs out. But that's shared responsibility, because if y'all take the dog out together, y'all can have a brisk romantic walk in the neighborhood with the family dog. I mean, I don't know, but they complain. David said women spend money more because they don't have to work as hard for it, so they don't value it as much. Now, there are some women that do work really hard for their money, and those are the women that don't spend it. But the ones who get money because they're attractive and they got a lot of guys throwing gifts at them and bribing them with a bunch of money to entertain them and stuff, those kinds of women are not going to have as much value on anything that they didn't have to work for. That's just a common thing that people do. If you didn't work for it, you don't really value it. And if you can get it replaced with very little effort, you don't value it. So you end up in a position where the item itself means nothing to you. So, you're not trying to cherish it. David said the rise of obesity also coincides with women having more financial power, as they are more than 75% of the U.S. food spending. Women are more than 75% of all spending. And then society, they have the pink tax, which is the female tax, and where they charge more for the same products for women that men use. And the reason why is because women are going to buy it. And if the women don't buy it, the women will convince their men to buy it. And most advertisement is tuned to women so that the products can be sold. The only thing you do when you're tuning something to a man is you're going to put a hot chick in front of it. It's going to explode. It's going to exhaust fire. It's going to go fast. That's like really the only things that you can do to attract a man. It's got to blow something up. It's got to go really fast, or there's got to be a woman laying on it somewhere. Beer. Hot chick opening a beer bottle. How does that tell you that the beer is good? It doesn't. But because hot chicks are holding this beer, hot chicks might hold you while you're holding this beer. Correlation. That's what the commercials do. But sex sells. That's what they say, right? Times are changing. Glad I'm old. I'm not saying women shouldn't have financial power, but they abuse it. Well, see, it's not just that women abuse it. Men buy things that they aren't supposed to buy outside of the relationship as well. But the difference between men and women is that in a relationship is that women very rarely believe that they should be in the position of budgeting the money for high level investments, savings, and retirement. More often than not, a lot of us men experience the kind of woman that wants her cut, her allowance, or whatever out of the deal from him. That is not her paycheck because her paycheck is her money and some of his money is supposed to go to her. And then he's supposed to take care of most of the things. And then after that, it's a good relationship. But if he's not paying, she then decides, well, I'm not putting out. And those are those transactional relationships where sex from the woman is exchanged for money from the man. And that's supposed to be a committed relationship until she stops putting out sex or he stops paying out money. And that's not the way relationships are supposed to go. But the Gen Zs have not figured that out yet. We've been talking to you guys about changing your perspective. We're going to get to this lady changing her perspective in just a moment. David said, single people do laundry and dishes all the time, and most mothers can teach their kids to help out, etc. Bro, the fact that single families, uh, you do it all. You work full time. You come back, you cook and clean. You teach the kids to help out around the house so that you don't have to clean as much. But you don't let them near the stove till they're a certain height, if not a certain age. So the things that you're doing in a two-parent household are the same things you'd be doing in a one-parent household, but you're complaining because there's a second person there. Not because the second person is becoming a burden on you. It's because there's a second person there, and that ideology that has been sinking into a lot of individuals that the responsibility should be shifted to somebody else. I keep saying if you got to pay for convenience. So if you don't want the responsibility, you have to hire somebody to do it for you. But if you're hiring somebody to do it for you, especially since minimum wage is almost $20 an hour, you have to think about how you have to make $60 to $70 an hour so that you can give $20 an hour to somebody else to do what you don't feel like doing in your own house. And if that's not a waste of money, let's just go there. Special shout out to, what is that, As9? So what's your view on just hold on, what is your view just said in that sentence is they are women of the night for lack of better PG words. I appreciate that. I'm not saying that they're like women of the night or freelance workers, adult freelance workers. What I'm saying is that the mentality of relationships these days is that women get paid for their presence in the relationship. The duties that would fall under the partner of the person that is supposed to be going out and bringing back all the money is the duties that women don't really want to have. They would like to be the breadwinner, but they also have a lot of them that would prefer not to be the responsible party that has to pay for the things that go wrong. They might be okay with being in charge, but when it comes down to taking your last dollar and fixing the fuck up in the relationship, that's not always what women expect to do. They would prefer that the man fix the fuck up. When things get dangerous, they would prefer that they have a man get fucked up. When the car gets broke, they expect the man to go out to the mechanic shop and get shit done. Now, there are still some alpha boss ladies that will go out there and do it on their own. And there are some alpha boss ladies in really good relationships with a husband that's submissive enough to be the stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home husband, and do all of the duties that the breadwinner doesn't do, which is still the same dynamic, is that one of you is supposed to go out and make the majority of the money, and the other one is supposed to be at the house keeping the house stable so that the one that is going out making the most money can come back to a house with less stuff to do. Doesn't mean that they don't have anything that needs to be done. There's just supposed to be less stuff to do. Most of the things, the insignificant things that can be tackled before the head of household comes back to the house, that should be tackled. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a man's job to go out and make the money, or it's a woman's job to go out and make the money. It just means that whichever one of y'all is out there making it do what it do, the other one that has more time at the house is supposed to be getting the stuff done at the house because you're at the house more. If there's two people living in the house, one's got a job and one does not have a job. Whoever's got the job has to focus more on the work, and whoever doesn't have the job has all the free time in the world. And you're supposed to be utilizing that free time wisely so that you're not exhausting yourself in a position where you're burnt out before your partner comes home, and now your partner comes off of their full-time job, and now they have to give you a break from your responsibilities by working for the rest of the night, and then they have to get up and go to work in the morning. That does not help, because if you're not going to give them a break some of the time, and they're going to come back and give you a break, you are still not being a balanced partner in your relationship. You got to find a way. If your spouse is going to give you a break 3 times a week, if you don't have the energy to give your spouse a break 3 times a week, you need to hire somebody 3 times a week to give your spouse a break so that you can get a break and your partner can get a break, so that y'all are both not burnt out in a relationship. That's just what it is. But the transactional expectations of relationships, since a lot of the women that don't want any responsibility in a relationship, but they want a generous man, they want to be kept, they want trips around the world. Yeah, that's the behavior of a woman of the night. That's exactly what that is. Because nothing in life is free. You got to work for it. You want a successful man, you got to build that. You can't just find one that's successful and think he's going to treat you like a king. You got to find a guy with potential, and you got to put a lot of effort into him so that he becomes the success that you want him to be, so that he will share his success with you because you made him what he is. Because if he doesn't have to thank you for the shit that he got, then what are you doing there? Michael said, as long as there's two people on the planet, there will be conflict. This one, special shout out to Mal. Doesn't bother me one way or another. I don't know how your gender affects the conversation at all, because my dynamic is based off of the left and right side of the relationship. It doesn't matter if you're a trans girl or a trans guy, or a trans girl, trans guy relationship, or two guys or two girls, or it doesn't really matter where you fall. What matters is that there's two of you in the relationship. One of you is going to be making more than the other one, because very rarely do we have relationships where both parties make the exact same amount of money and contribute the exact same amount of money into the household and contribute the exact same quantity of effort into the household. So usually one person's making a little bit more money, one person's putting a lot more time at work, one person has a lot more time at home from work, and they're not always the same. Sometimes the person that makes more money might put less time in at work, have more free time at the house. Does not change the fact that the ideology is that the person who goes to work the most is supposed to be bringing back the most money, and the person who spends the least time at work is supposed to be taking care of the majority of the stuff around the house. Now, let's throw into the consideration people who work from home. Well, if you've got a full-time job and you work from home, and now your partner is at the house with you, and they're bitching because you won't stop working so that you can go and help them do stuff around the house because you're at the house. The lack of respect for you because you don't leave the house to go make money puts you in a compromising position, because now you have to try to work and take care of the house while your partner is at the house supposedly taking care of the house, even though your partner's not working either. So there's that dynamic. A traditional household, I agree with this highly. That is a good message you just had there. Thank you for the clarification. You're welcome. I try my best to stay uniform about my position, because this isn't a red pill, black pill, blue pill podcast. We're not sitting here trying to bash women and make women feel like they should be ashamed of themselves. They shouldn't. They do need to change their priorities, because if women got men for their character and their personality and not their wallet, they would find out if the guy makes good decisions before they start dating the guy, and then they can trust the guy's judgment and follow the guy's lead, because if the guy knows what he's doing, he's not going to steer her wrong. And then the women would be able to pay more attention to things that the guy is not in control of, and then they would be a better asset to the team, because just like the queen on the chessboard, a woman shouldn't have to make the first move if she's on the right team. She should be able to watch from afar, lead from the rear, and make the second move. She should be able to be the support group. She should should be able to be the reserves. She should be the cavalry. If you're getting taken down by 5 or 7, she should be the one that brings the Glock switch and be the equalizer in your situation. But she should not be frontline infantry. No woman should be frontline infantry. Not in a relationship. That's what she got the man for. He's supposed to take the first bullet, and she's supposed to deliver the return fire. That's how it's supposed to be. Because otherwise, what are you getting your man for if you're going to take the bullet for him? Aren't you supposed to be keeping the kid together? Because think about this now. Robert said, are you making more than your spouse, or is your spouse making more? That's a good question. But doesn't matter, though. Doesn't matter which one's making the most money. What matters is that you guys have responsibilities. They're not going to be equal. They're not going to be balanced. Well, they can be balanced, but they're not going to be equal. It's going to be a symbiotic relationship where a lot of things that the head of household is going to pay for, the dependent in the household is not going to pay for, but they're going to do stuff that the head of household does not have the time to do, because the head of household is dealing with the money, not just making money at work. Usually the head of household is also budgeting the money, taking care of bills, boosting the credit scores, running stocks if they're trying to invest and improve, 401ks, Roth IRAs, all this other stuff, trust, savings, kids tuition, the college tuition, high school tuition, private school tuition, then the stuff for the partner. And notice I said partner, not just the stuff for the wife, then the stuff for the partner, whatever the partner needs. Car maintenance and all this other stuff. So usually the head of household has a whole lot more to do with dealing with the money, because the one that is not the head of household is very rarely in control of the money. Because in the traditional modern day relationship, if a woman gets a man that makes more money, she doesn't give a shit what's going on as long as she gets her cut. And if the woman makes more money, she doesn't want a man to control the money because she made that money. So there's never a relationship where the person who's at the house with more time to balance the budget is balancing the budget. The person who spends more time getting the budget is balancing the budget, which is why we have so many shows throughout the year that tell you guys about how you can bring your relationship together and save money and invest money and cooperate together as a cohesive unit, and then you would be more financially successful. That's the reason why we put those shows out there, so that you guys can learn. Mama said, what's a good man I respect and support you thinks? Oh, what a good man I respect and support you thinks. Well, look, make sure that you like and subscribe and utilize those reaction buttons, because I got to tell you, we could get a lot more traction on the show if you guys are liking what you're hearing and you're hitting that like button and mashing those reaction buttons. He said pawn to e6. That depends on which pawn you're using, buddy. Okay, but my wife and I make the same. Hypothetically, we always have this one person that comes in and does this. They try to be the outlier. And special shout out to Robert. But Rob, look, even if you and your wife both make the same, y'all do not spend the exact same quantity of time at work. Y'all do not have the exact same quantity of drive time to work. Y'all do not spend the exact same quantity of time at home. And you guys do not do the exact same quantity of contributions to the household when you get home. Plain and simple. With that being said, even though y'all both might ideally make the same quantity of money, Robert, she spends more money on her hair, her makeup, and her clothes so that she can look pretty for herself, look pretty for you, look pretty for going to work. You don't spend any money on yourself. Most of the time, a man can wear the same clothes that he was wearing when he was 18 if he did not change his body size. Men don't go shopping like that. The only time we go shopping is when the shoes break, when the heels wear out, when the clothes rip, and that doesn't happen too often. She might have 100 pairs of shoes in the closet. You might have 2. One for rain and one for not rain. Now, out of the money that she spends on herself to look good, that might take 25% of her income. So even though you both make the same quantity of money, she has 25% less money than you do as far as contributing to the household. You might think about this, Robert. Even though y'all both make about the same amount of money, you might pay 100% of the bills, or at least 90% of the bills, because your standard of living is just a little bit above your total salary cap. And then she covers the spread. Now, when you think about that, yeah, y'all both might make $50,000 a year. You might have a $60,000 a year lifestyle. You're putting 100% of your money on the bills, and she's putting up the other 10,000. She still got 40,000 a year to do whatever with. Ask yourself, where's the balance? Okay. Which is completely sidetracking from the lady that we just paused her because she was going on this rant, and I was like, why is she ranting about how she hates her marriage when her husband is a good husband? Does your wife cook and dress you? That's a good question, because women don't dress men anymore, and women complain about cooking. And putting your food in the microwave is not cooking. That's heating stuff up. I wear my clothes out, or I grow out of them. That's usually what men do. You realize that you've grown out of them when you're trying to put them on and you can't get the button to button, you can't get the zipper to zip, you can't get the pants leg to go all the way down to the shoe the way it used to. That's when you realize, yeah, it's time to get another one. When the pants is clinging to your thigh too tight, because us old folks, we 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, we're not good with skinny jeans. We don't like pants clinging to our junk so tight that we can get a yeast infection. We're not down for that. That's these young boys out here with that usher with the skinny jeans, sagging with skinny jeans, so that you got your little print for the. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. Slim fit works so much, but then after that, you got to realize that beer belly set in, and you got to spread out. You got to spread out. New clothes, she buys them for me. That's what's supposed to happen. But she's supposed to buy clothes that you like to wear. She's not just supposed to buy what she wants you to be in. You gotta remember that. Is that I know I'm fat when I have to take my pants off just to put my belt on, bro. I stopped wearing belts. I've hit the suspenders era. I stopped wearing belts. If it don't fit, it don't fit. Bro, don't forget about me. Special shout out to Mr. Satellite. It's been a while since Mr. Satellite's been in the show. He got his phone replaced, so he's back in action. So it's good to see Mr. Satellite back through here. I really appreciate you, Mr. Satellite. He says, we have the same drive time. The difference is I do the fixing, she does the cleaning. We pay equal amounts of the bills. I spend my money on guns, hunting, and fishing, and she buys what she wants on crafts. Okay, I'm not seeing a problem with your relationship. Statistically, it doesn't work out that way. Statistically, there more often than not, there's a difference. Even if it's a few $100s, there's a difference in wages. There's a difference in drive times. There's a difference in amount of hours at work. There's a difference with the quantity of contributions at the house. The statistics have proven that one person puts 60 to 70% more effort into the relationship and more effort into the chores around the house than the other person, and that is statistically the norm. So if everything is split down the middle, like Michael says, it sounds like you have a happy relationship. It sounds like things are perfect for you. There's nothing to complain about. But the average American, no, somebody's not doing enough by the observations of the other person in the relationship. That's usually what's going on. And that's the complaint that we have with the lady on the comment section right here. Let's see exactly what the core of her problem is real quick. He says the divorce rate would disagree with your theory. What? The divorce rate is outrageous. What do you mean? You're going to tell me that the quantity of people that are divorcing doesn't match the observation that people ain't getting along? So equal does not mean the same responsibility. Well, that's exactly what I've been saying this whole time, is that first of all, there isn't equal, but what I said is that there is an imbalance in the majority of relationships, and that imbalance is the lack of reasonable responsibility being dispersed between both parties in a relationship. That's what I was saying. Because it's never split down the middle. You might do more of one thing and she might do more of another, but you guys are going to find an equal balance in there somewhere, a reasonable balance. Question: so why you here? Bored or seeking knowledge or validation? That I don't know. I don't know. But let's see. Let's get validation from the lady and see what she's bitching about.
which she gave me. Fast forward to today, I had a therapy session I discussed a lot. I was feeling very criticized by my husband, and in turn started feeling not adequate as a wife or a mother. My therapist commends me on being a great communicator and very articulate with how I'm feeling. I tried to talk to him about this today just to put it on his radar so he wouldn't be blindsided when we have our next couples counseling session. This
All right, hold on. So her husband was telling her ways that she could improve in a relationship, and she felt like he was criticizing her. She goes and tells her therapist about it, and her therapist is like, "Oh, you're a great talker." So she's gonna tell her husband, the therapist thinks that I'm really good at communicating myself, so that he knows that he's about to walk into the next therapy session and get ambushed by two women. Ah, sometimes you carry more, sometimes she carries more. That's a good relationship. I expect that. Communication is key. Communication is the most dominant factor in relationships besides stable income that leads to the degradation of the relationship. Miscommunication and lack of responsibility, lack of accountability, and lack of financial control. These are things that cause, and this is all things that happen that has nothing to do with infidelity, where infidelity inherently comes from requirements or the lack thereof of validation. Some people don't believe that, but with the lack of validation in your relationship, that will lead to an increase in infidelity.
turned into a whole thing. I don't help enough around the house. I'm spending too much money. Before you
See,
ask, yes, I work. Teacher, remember, he feels like a butler and a wallet. I validated his feelings. I told him I understood where he was coming from and that we need to come up with a plan to set into action to prevent him from feeling that way. I proceeded to tell him how I felt, which he told me he didn't understand how he's done that or why I feel that way. I also told him recently, probably for the past month, my grief has been very heavy. It's felt like I've been carrying around a sack of bricks. I lost my dad almost 2 years ago. And without getting too into it, my dad was my person. Like,
I agree, because I'm still waiting on her to tell me what he did wrong. But from what I'm hearing, she does not like being told. But there's no nice way for you to tell somebody they fucking up, right? There's no nice way. You can bring it up that you have a concern. You can bring it up that something is bothering you. You can bring it up that your feelings are hurt about something. You can bring it up that you might be feeling ignored. You can bring it up that you might be feeling alone in a scenario where you are accomplishing too many tasks by yourself. But no matter how you set it up, you will find a the type of person, and you might end up in that wrong relationship where the type of person comes back and starts taking shots at you because they like to attack the messenger. So like Robert said, uh, criticizing is bad, but healthy communication is key. Asking, not telling is better. Agreeing is not an argument. And the lady is complaining, uh, not able to accept her responsibilities. That's really what I'm listening to, is that she is complaining, but she has pretty much a really good relationship, and she's just in her feelings with depression and everything that affect. And I don't know, the Zoloft ain't working. She's just not satisfied. So it sounds to me like she just wants out of this marriage, and she does not have the courage to say that. Money is the number one cause of divorce. What is number two, and so on. Remember to like remember to like and subscribe, y'all. uh Money is going to be up there, communication is going to be up there, the lack of communication, and all of these are going to be before infidelity, um because infidelity is going to be in like the top three, but money, communication, and infidelity are going to be up there. Outside of that, you're going to have the absence of the person in a relationship, so the lack of validation, confirmation, um, because they're spending too much time at work or spending too much time with their family, spending too much time with their friends, and they're not receiving or expressing the quantity of validation from their partner. That's going to be another thing. And that all of that are normal things before you start dealing with like that Chris Brown abuse, like, oh, they're being beat on and stuff like that. Just like the normal things that people don't think about is like one person wasting too much money, one person um, um, the emergency fund where women are siphoning money out of the man's account and putting it into a different account so that if this relationship fails, they can bail and have a fallback plan. Like stuff like that causes money arguments because you can have infidelity with your finances. And these things cause money arguments. And then the constant bickering, the lack of communication, these are the top three things. And ironically, the financial problems that leads to the arguments, the lack of communication that leads to the lack of validation also increases the levels of infidelity because the chaos that is in your household, in your marriage, will lead you, man or woman, to find peace in somebody else's arms. So even if you didn't have a cheater when you started your relationship, if y'all can't work this shit out, you will have a cheater before the divorce happens. That's just one of the things that happens. Validation is not part of the real relationship. Sacrifice it. Look, Michael, he just got promoted. Michael Robert just got promoted. He said validation is not part of a relationship. Sacrifice is. One of the things that builds loyalty, duty, devotion in your relationship, in your marriage, is the sacrifices that you make for the other person. And if you have a person that is equivalently worthy of you, they recognize your sacrifices and they make sacrifices for you. I appreciate that, Robert. Thank you so much. He said, "What audiobook is it?" She's looking for a way out. I have a long okay. Thumbs up. Yes, deal. So let's go ahead and finish this one up because we got a couple more.
Talked to him 3 times a day, saw him multiple times a week, cooked and ate supper with him, all the things. My husband then asked me at what point does the grief stop being so in your face? I said, I've never lost a parent before. He's never had to face heavy grief like losing a parent so young. He's lost his grandparents, and that's it. He told me my grief was swallowing me and I wasn't handling it well. Where I feel the total opposite. I feel the feelings when they come up. I acknowledge them, give myself the space I need, and cry if I need to. I've been active with my family and friends. I get up and get dressed every day. I play with my kids. My days function like they should. An outsider looking in would think I'm totally normal. On one hand, he tells me he doesn't mind me talking about my dad and my grief. And then on the other hand, he tells me I don't know how much I talk about it. I said, well, I love to talk about my dad. I love having memories of him. But with this whole I'm grieving wrong debacle, I feel so alone. He no longer feels like a safe place for me. And the intrusive thought of I just fell out of love took over my head. I did not say this out loud.
That's what happened.
But now I feel stuck. Where to go from here? Am I the asshole?
Yes, ma'am, you are an asshole. So we finally got to the bottom of it. She fell out of love and she doesn't know how to tell him, but she feels like she's stuck in this marriage. That's what the problem is. Because she's not bitching about the kids. She's not complaining about the kids being too needy. She's complaining about the husband. Men deal with loss in a different way. So I lost soldiers when in war. She has lost family. We are emotionally different. That is biology. Well, as men, we're usually put in situations that are a little bit more complicated more often than not. Special shout out to Usman, been alongside since Usman's been here. And one of the things that really shakes us is that those of us, men or women, that face death more often than others cope with it way differently. Men are not allowed to cry inherently. Men are not allowed to express their feelings inherently without being shamed for it by society. So when death occurs, less often are men allowed to express their emotions, express their feelings, express their concerns, cry about it. They have to be the rock for the emotionally volatile woman that's there crying. And that is just the way society has things. And uh, the crazy part is that you have to start living at some point. I've had grandparents die, I've had parents die, and I've had pets die. And the fact is that I still got to go back to work. I still got to do what I got to do. My life is not going to stop. No millionaire, no billionaire has ever said, I'm going to stop making money because somebody I know died. Kobe's wife did not say, I'm not going to stop making money because my husband died. Matter of fact, she went to court to make sure that she added the daughter onto the policy so that the daughter's health insurance could go to the trust so that she could get more money off of the daughter and the father dying. Look, man. Usman said, Mr. President, what can you tell us? President, the meteor strike is incoming. We need to cut it in half. And I'm sure Xander's fresh, sharp haircut can do the job. Oh, special shout out to Usman. If you're alive, you will lose people. It's natural. The older you get, the more people die around you. It becomes easier as you get older. I know I am 70. Special shout out to 70-year-olds. Special shout out to those that are still able to kick the bucket and still be living next to that bucket. I'm going to reach an age where I'm going to weird out my neighbors because I am literally going to go outside and kick a bucket every day. And they're going to be like, what are you doing? And I kick the bucket every day just to remind myself of how it's supposed to feel. Robert said, true. And men are asked to end life more than women. Oh, yeah. Truthfully, kill the bug, kill the roach, kill the cat, kill the dog, kill the rat, go after the neighbor, get the criminal. Yeah, a lot of the times. We need to deal with those emotions in different ways in women. And truth be told, after we've ended that life, we're not supposed to talk about it, but we need to. Best 30 minutes after I die, one of my friends will tell a joke and then the world will go on. That's true. So let's go ahead and touch base with this next one here.
Do men like being hit on? A few nights ago, I went to a wine tasting and exchanged a couple of nervous smiles with a cute guy who was working there. I was too shy to shoot my shot but really regretted it when I left, and I've been thinking about him since then. The event will happen again throughout the summer and I'm thinking about going and hitting on him, but I don't want to make him uncomfortable. Do guys generally like to be hit on, and how direct should I be? I want him to understand I'm hitting on him, but I don't want him to think I've done this with many guys before, because I haven't. Every pickup line I've thought of is a bit cringe, but I'm not good at just going with the flow. I'll probably just be, well, going away.
Okay, so yes, drafts are only applied to men for a reason. I strongly believe with all of these demands for equality, they should take the gender restriction out and just make the draft uniform for everybody over the age of 18, under the age of 40. They should all be drafted for a 2-year stint. Everybody should. It should be mandatory. Like in Asia, everybody does 2 years. Between 18 and 20, they do 2 years. And they finish their 2 years by the time they're 22. Yeah, everybody does it. We should do the same. But yeah, they do it here for differently for a reason, because women aren't going to apply themselves the way men will when it comes down to ending those lives. Now, that does not account for those women that like getting abortions, because they don't really think about the emotional damage that comes from that until after they've had a few of them. Do men like being hit on? Yes, we do. Do we like being hit on? No, we don't. There's a difference between the two, y'all. Okay, so do we like a woman to flirt with us, make a pass at us, pick us up, take us with them, show us that they really value us and believe that we are really important to them? Yes, men love that. We never experience it though, or not never, but rarely experience it. Probably once in a blue moon, once in a green moon, followed by a red sunlight kind of thing scenario. It's just really, really rare. It's like winning the lottery. It's like winning the lottery twice in a row. It's very rare, okay, that a woman hits on a man. That man, because women do hit on men, but that man in his life, out of his 20, 30, 50, 70 years of his life, may get hit on 10 times, 15 times in his life, right? Women get hit on every day, all day, every day. So, when a woman goes and makes a pass at a man, they love that. Now, go punch that guy. No, we don't like that part. You try that part. It's not going to end well. Robert says they shouldn't. Women complicate war services. Okay. Well, women don't belong in the military. Okay. I can understand your position on that. From the perspective of they want to do everything that men do. Because of that, I say that uniformly speaking, everybody with the right to vote should have the right to get drafted for war. That's what I'm saying. But when it comes down to your perspective of like how women would handle being out there doing the things that men do when it comes down to ending lives, I can agree with you. Yes, that I don't believe that until they turn into like G.I. Jane or Tomb Raider with Laura Croft or like the girl from Resident Evil and start like 20 years in the making of ending lives kind of thing. I don't believe that the instinctual makeup of a female is to run out there and just slaughter an entire civilization. But I could be wrong. This is a male's perspective. This is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. So ladies, chime in. Let us know if y'all are war ready. Michael says, and there's a difference between being war ready and just being full of conflict when you come home and start war with your husband. There's a big difference between the two. We're talking about parachuting down into another country and just slaughtering school children and stuff to that effect, like the U.S. Army does best. That's what we're talking about doing. You're hitting your husband in the back of the head with an iron skillet. That's not what we're talking about. That's not the war ready we meant. Michael said, we like being emotionally stroked. Yes, and women do too, but women get it more than men. If a woman hits on me, it would make me smile. If a woman hits me, I'm on that one. I tell them out the gate, no physical contact when it comes down to striking, because I know they like to do those love taps. I put love taps in the category of physical abuse because you would not want your boyfriend or your husband to be love tapping you all the damn time. Talk about he's strong. Oh shit. Females be strong too. Y'all don't know y'all own weight. Y'all like ants. Y'all can carry a human being in your stomach. Y'all should not be punching no grown man because y'all can hit a grown man like a grown man. And that'll cause a reflex now. Just throwing that out there, ladies. Let's move on to the next one now.
I think I made a big mistake and let go of a really good guy. Been seeing this guy for a few months now. We met on Hinge and were both really into each other after the first date. From there on out, everything was great. He is 27 and I am 25, would see each other a lot and enjoyed our time. He knew how to communicate well with me. I got used to our routine. My job demands a lot of travel and I've had some personal trips in the past few weeks. When I went on a work trip a few weeks ago, I didn't talk to him as much while being gone. I knew he was going on a trip the day after I got back. I was so busy on my work trip and remember being at the airport on the way back thinking how I was so excited to see him and I knew I was going to want to talk to him as soon as I got home. Ever since then things have been off. We both had travels and tried to keep it up but it was hard. We spoke about being more serious, both affirmed our strong feelings for one another, but wanted to take things slowly given that our schedules are so vastly different. I know how I felt in the beginning and know it's not how I'm feeling now because we aren't showing as much outright interest in one another. I felt that he wasn't communicating as much, not showing as much interest, I just didn't feel pursued. He and I had a serious conversation about it and I felt like things were okay, but it started to happen again. We spoke yesterday and decided to end things. He said he hasn't been feeling it for a few weeks now, ever since I went on my work trip. I initiated ending things and he agreed. Everything was amicable, but I'm so sad. He's treated me better than any guy I've met and was respectful and good at communicating. He didn't say he wasn't feeling it until I said I didn't like where things stood. I have some serious past trauma and some poor experiences with relationships, so he was just a breath of fresh air. I knew I had some reservations and that my needs weren't being met, but he is a good person and I feel like I'm making a mistake pushing him away. I felt okay in the moment but now feel sad. He meant more to me than I realized. Is there any hope here? Or do I move on?
Hell no, ain't no hope there. You done fucked up the rotation. You done came out the woodwork. Instead of you expressing to him the things that was missing out of your relationship, you let your past traumas get in the way of your present relationship. This is what we call y'all a rebound relationship. So after you finish with this bullshit with him, the next guy that come through, that'd be a second breath of fresh air, your second win. That guy, you're probably not gonna fuck it up as quickly. But just because y'all had a long distance relationship, because y'all both had conflicting schedules, and instead of y'all working that out, you decided to throw the wrench in there and say, fuck it, I don't like the relationship as it is. But you went from rushing it to taking it slow to backing out of it altogether. I think that was just a bunch of bullshit. I think that she should have just went in for the long haul, relocated your employment to his employment location, and just kind of made the shit work. Relationships, love, marriage, you make it work. It doesn't just work on its own. The shit isn't just perfect. It's not like when you're a child and life happens because your parents make it happen. As adults, especially in the Western culture where your parents aren't even involved in your relationships, you have to put in the effort to build it. You have to put in the effort to maintain it. You have to put in the effort to prevent it from falling apart, which are three separate scenarios. Now, I want to validate Robert's last comment. He said, I've been to war. It complicates the dynamics of the unit. Relationships become complicated. Professional becomes intimate. It's a bad mix. Now, I can tell you that females on the workforce in the military, when them females end up with the guys and the guys end up trying to smash the other people in the platoon, it does cause a lot of problems. And those problems do cause conflicts and loses focus, and that could cause the team to not be ready for combat. So I can agree with you on that. Robert came back. He said the book author or protagonist needs to live in the real world and stop overthinking men. Past trauma needs to be dealt with before relationships. And I've said this many, many, many times before, that in a relationship, once you've gotten out of that last relationship, you need to take time out of your life to reflect on what you did wrong in the last relationship, what you did not like experiencing in the last relationship. First of all, you got to correct your mistakes. You got to heal from the mistakes that's occurred to you. Then, after you've made your adjustments, it's just like the nightclub right after the bar fight. They close the doors, they fix all the damage, they repaint it, make it look like no bar fight ever existed there before they open the doors to start taking in more clients. You have to do the exact same thing. You've got to stop dating. You've got to fix yourself. You've got to work on the failures that you had in your last relationship. Fix it as if you've never been broken up with before, and then move into your next relationship with no baggage. Well, I can't say no baggage. You're going to have some baggage, but it should be a fucking carry-on, not like 30 suitcases worth of trauma. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be 3 trunks full of trauma. You should be able to walk in there with just a carry-on of a little pet peeves that you deal with from day to day, so that you can go ahead and navigate through that with your partner. That would be the most effective way. Michael says, many fishies in the sea, so throw a hook in and better you get something. Well, it's not that works for women, not really as well for men. The men don't have the ability to just throw a hook in and just pull a fish out every single time. We might have to throw like 50 or 60 hooks in and get one hook out. You know what I'm saying? But the method does still apply, that you've got to clean your hook off before you throw it back in there and go and grab you another fish, because at the end of the day, it's not going to work if you are clinging to past traumas, especially if you're trying to work through those past traumas in your current relationship by retaliating onto your partner because something that was said or heard or done triggers you into a flashback of a relationship situation from the past that you did not believe that you performed correctly in. So now you're going to perform it incorrectly in this scenario to get your get backs on your ex with your current. That is never a good thing. That is never a good thing. You put yourself in a situation where your relationship was good until you fucked it up. I got one for you. They had a couple on the show. They talked about me, came in the comment section just like before. And lady was telling me how her relationship was good until she found a note tucked behind the washer and dryer, a place where nobody ever goes to clean, right? And she finds this letter. It's from his ex. And his ex leaves this dirty note about how the dude is supposed to be so toxic and so dangerous, and whatever, right? Now, she goes, looks up the woman on Facebook, gets in contact with the girl on Facebook. They start passing information back and forth together. Now the current girlfriend is attacking the current boyfriend about the ex-girlfriend from 5 years ago. Bro, she left a grenade in the house to destroy the man's future. And sometimes people do that. And the fact is that the guy didn't even know it was there because he doesn't clean. He doesn't clean behind the washer and dryer or nothing to that effect. Most people don't go behind the washer and dryer. So why the fuck was this woman behind the washer and dryer? I don't know. But the fact is that it was there. Instead of her looking at that and saying, well, this was 5 years ago, the past is the past, rip it up, throw it in the trash, and move on about her day, she had to start conflict in her relationship about a note that was hidden in his house from almost a decade ago, from bitter feelings of a woman walking out of his house. How many of y'all would like having your last employer, no matter why you left your last employer, send your current employer a letter that expresses how much they don't like you, so that your current employer can now question your work ethic? That's bullshit. It's like, bro, I don't even work for them no more. Like, you don't even have complaints about me. Like, what's that about? And these are the things that happens. Y'all cannot let your past haunt your present, because that will destroy your future. Robert says women and men need to stop dating the same type of person if they aren't successful. Facts. Because your type is your type, and if your type is toxic, you need to find somebody that is not your type. Now, date for a healthy relationship instead of a rebound. So don't go getting the very next person that you see. You want to find somebody that matches what you need in your life, not what you want in your life, because your wants and your needs are two different things. And when your wants are met, your needs go undone. And that's the one thing that the women are complaining about right now today, is that they believe that their needs are not being met. But all you projected was what you wanted. He gave you what you wanted, but you wasn't happy because what you needed was never expressed. Think about that. Michael said, I have messed many relationships up. That is true. That note behind the washer and dryer is diabolical, bro. His ex wanted to make sure he was never happy. You know, I've had some women come onto the show plenty of times, and they will specifically express the fact that they would prefer that their ex suffer miserably and never find happiness again. But she would prefer to move on and find happiness with someone else. Look, if you truly love somebody, past tense, present tense, You want them to be happy unconditionally. And unconditionally means even if it's not with you. So that means that if you really had love for that person and you weren't just using them for emotional validation and whatever else you use them for, then if they couldn't be happy with you, you would wish them the best in their life to find happiness with somebody else. So to be that vindictive and like Steven said, diabolical, to want to ruin all future happiness this guy has, he's no longer with you. He's moved on with his life, and you're still trying to destroy him. That's a level of toxicity that makes men not go back out and date again, because if he's had that happen to him before, he's going to have the trauma of maybe the next girl is going to be just as toxic as the last. You cannot allow toxicity from a former relationship to traumatize you in that fashion, but you do have to get past that level of trauma, wondering if that car driving by is your ex again or something to that effect. You have to get through that part before you start dating in a new relationship. Once you get through that part, even if you got to move to be sure that she ain't following you no more, do that so that you got the peace of mind. And when you end up in a new relationship with a new person, that new person is not going to be corrupted by the old person. One of the best ways, don't find all your women in the same spot. If you've got a stomping ground where you go to hang out with, that is not where you're picking up chicks. You go pick up chicks somewhere else. When you take her places, you don't take her to your favorite places. You take her to other places so that your favorite places she never knows about. If y'all break up, you fall off the face of the earth because you no longer go to the places that you take her. But you should not have to find new favorite places, because all the favorite places that you go to, you brought her to, and now everybody knows about her. Then when y'all break up, the first thing everybody in all your favorite places is going to say, where's the ex? Right? I got to put a stop to that. A real grenade placed behind a washer and dryer 5 years ago. Needs a will fulfill your wants, right? For the needs, wants will follow. That is true. And I tell the women that all the time. So when the women say they want a generous man, they want the trips around the world, uh, stuff to that effect, I tell them, I said, well, you know what? If you found you a good man for the fact that he's a good man, then by default, he's going to give you as much as he can. So the gratitude, the generosity, if he can afford trips around the world, all of that comes with the total package of finding a good man. So you have to find a good man first and get what you need. And then what you need, ladies, a man that's on your level can do all the things for you that you can do for yourself. That's the man that you need, which he's now taking your responsibilities off of your plate, putting it on his, which ironically makes you his dependent. Now, at that moment, you now have all this free time to prioritize your man in return. Now, if you build your man up to be a more successful man, that he has more finances and resources to share with you. So your goal now is to help him become more successful so that he can help you become more successful. So you're still working for your own success, but you're investing in him so that he can invest in you. That makes it a lot more sense instead of being selfish and working for your own personal upcomings. Robert said you should want your ex to find happiness. He's right. You definitely want your ex to find happiness. That favorite place safeguard is genius, bro. Most of us don't think about this. If you've got a favorite spot that you hang out at, if you've got a favorite place that you go to, like you want to get away from the stresses of things, and you got this one little spot that you like to sit on a cliff and watch the sunset or some shit like that, whatever your favorite spots are in life, that's not where you're taking your girlfriend. That's not where you're taking your wife. You take your girlfriend to new places that you've never been before. You should have your solo single guy locations. You should have your couples locations. So your single guy locations, stop seeing you for a while because you're in a relationship. Your couples locations, stop seeing you when you're not in a relationship. And they never blend. Reason being is that if you don't take your girlfriend to all the places that you go when y'all break up, she can't spontaneously be hanging out at one of your favorite places so that when you walk in, y'all just randomly bump into one another. If you eat at the same restaurant on a regular basis and she knows this, she can bring her new boyfriend to that restaurant, and now you're having this awkward moment where she bumps into you with her new boyfriend. Or if this is the place that you go when you take girls out on a date, she knows this, you're on a new date, she's gonna bump into you with her boyfriend because you're on a date, which messes up your date. So if she doesn't know where you go, she can't do stuff like that. She can't pop up on you sporadically. She would have to GPS tracker your car or some shit in order to know where you're at for a spontaneous pop up, you know. And I would have a 72-hour delay on my social media updates if I were you guys. When I'm going places after an ex, nobody knows until 3 days ago that I went somewhere. Nobody knows that I came back from somewhere. That way she never knows where you are. Because if you're keeping your social media platform updated, oh, I'm about to go to Tennessee, oh, I'm about to go to Texas, then I can guarantee you that she will about to be either in your house where you're going or at that location because she's following you with an alt account. She knows what you're doing in life. Robert said men should date for personality and women should date for compatibility. Well, I think that both sides should be dating for personality and compatibility because a woman has to blend in with the man's agenda. The man's agenda is going to incorporate the woman's agenda into it so that you have shared goals. But the fact is that whatever the man needs to do to be successful, that is what the woman is supposed to be working towards if she's going to be a partner. Because for all of those women who want a good man that's going to steadfast her career and her success, she's going to find a man that is going to prioritize her goals. Now, what person, man or woman, should be in a relationship where their goals are being prioritized, but they're not prioritizing the goals of their partner? That makes absolutely no sense. But in modern relationships, that's what we have. So finding a girl with a good personality that's got a nice figure doesn't always work because escorts have fantastic personalities, fantastic figures at a price per hour. And if you can afford it, you can have a better wife with an escort than what you can have with a woman that is supposed to be the genuine package, right? So you're looking for both the personality and the compatibility in my observation, not just the looks or the money. She sounds like a stalker. Remember to like and subscribe. Knowledge is power and money is money. So come here, leave smarter. I appreciate you, Michael. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, because we do be talking about the stock trades and stuff to that effect. We're going to be talking about those. We'll be talking about how money is moving around Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So y'all going to want to make sure that y'all keep coming for that. Let's touch base on the next one.
I'm upset about a comment my boyfriend made. What do y'all think? My boyfriend, who's 27M, and I am 21 have been together for 3 years. We recently broke up and got back together. Things have been slightly rocky as of late. We don't see each
There's been some tension put on.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Robert. I do the best I can. I'm here 7 nights a week, so make sure that you slide back through and come and check us out tomorrow. Thank you very much. Let me see if I can find my place on this thing because I clicked the wrong button.
Our schedules are so vastly different. I know.
Nope, that's not it.
have the love that I used to have for him before.
Hold on. I think that's the one that we were supposed to
experiences with relationships, so he was just a breath of fresh air. I knew I had some reservations and that my needs weren't being met, but he is a good person and I feel like I'm making a mistake pushing him away. I felt okay in the moment, but now feel sad. He meant more to me than I realized. Is there any hope here? Or do I move on?
And now we're going to start with the next one.
I'm upset about a comment my boyfriend made. What do y'all think? My boyfriend, who's 27M, and I am 21 have been together for 3 years. We recently broke up and got back together. Things have been slightly rocky as of late. We don't see each other as often anymore, because we've both been busy. So yesterday, my boyfriend and I were texting each other, and he brought up a feeling that bothered him, and he told me he felt that I don't have the love that I used to have for him before, and that he feels that I'm not as submissive as well. Not in a bad way, in his own words. Now, the first part of his message, I felt I could understand as we had just gotten back together, and I felt I didn't know where we were, and that it would take a while for things to be normal again. However, the second part gave me the ick, because of the way it came across. I asked him to elaborate, and he just said, it was a feeling, not a permanent thought. When we first got together, I was a lot more submissive and obedient to him because I was young and wanted to appeal to him and his needs, but now, I'm at that age where I'm finding out who I am and trying to have more of a backbone when it comes to myself. Since then, we've been talking, but I've been giving him less of a conversation because now I'm starting to wonder if getting back together was a good idea at all. If you guys could provide me with some advice, I'd greatly appreciate it, and as always, thank you for reading, and I hope you're having a better day than I'm having. Smiley face.
All right, so he was trying to tell you that you stopped paying attention to him, and you said that you don't give a fuck about him. You trying to focus on you. This is one of the reasons why breakups don't work out when your ex is an ex for a reason. When you break up with somebody, it should only occur as a last resort, not a petty squabble. So if you're breaking up as a last resort, both of you have done all that you potentially believe that you should do in this relationship, and some have this above and beyond behavior as a closing of the chapter of the book, where you do more than what you know you should do to try to rectify the situation, so that when it doesn't work out, you can say that you did more than what you were supposed to, and you have no feeling about the relationship ending, because that closure that you got was from the extra effort into making a failed relationship work. It's not always recommended to do that, but knowing that this was never going to work out allows you to move on a lot faster. Now, sometimes when people get emotionally involved in their arguments, they say things they don't mean, they take time apart, somebody goes to sleep with somebody else, then after a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, they get back together, and then they start trying to make the relationship work. Well, that doesn't happen. When you have disagreements with one another, you should take time apart, but it doesn't mean that you should be in different houses. It doesn't mean that you should be on different sides of the state. Y'all can just go into different rooms and stay in the same house. Just give you guys a few hours, a few minutes, maybe even the next day, and try to address the situation by communicating. However, if you were in the relationship in the beginning, prioritizing your man, which is what men want, to be prioritized by the woman that the man prioritizes. Y'all break up, y'all get back together, and now you're selfish. You're focusing on what you want, what you desire, and not really giving a shit about what he wants and what he needs. This gives off the observation that you came back for something that wasn't him. Because if you came back for him, you would be prioritizing him the way you used to prioritize him the first time. It might have been a passing thought for him, but the relationship is different now. You're not respecting him as much as you used to. You're not validating him as much as you used to. You're not showing the compassion that you used to show to him the way you used to. And that's a problem for him. As a result, you're in a position where now you recognize, okay, some of the things that I used to do, I don't do anymore. I am working on myself, but I do need to go back to prioritizing my man as well. Then you bring your relationship back to the happy place, the honeymoon phase that it was in. Because while you can still communicate with your partner about the things that you want in the relationship now that will make the relationship better for you, he just told you all you need to do is value me the way you valued me the first time, and we will be good on my perspective. So just go back to the way you used to behave, and we good. That's it. Low expectations from men. Now, from the woman's perspective, all of what he's not doing, ma'am, in exchange for all of that extra shit, just prioritize your man. Boom. You could do a fucking 30-page long Christmas list and be like, well, for that validation, sir, I'm going to need this. I'm going to need that. I'm going to need the other. I'm going to need the other. If you got a good man, he's probably going to run your bath water, massage your back, rub your feet, cook, clean up behind you, and work a full-time job and take care of the kids, take your car to the shop. So there's not much that you can't get out of the man. All he wants you to do is validate and appreciate him in return for that shit. And you're saying that you would first prioritize your own selfish desires than your partner. I would never recommend that on either side of the fence. I would never say that a guy is supposed to come home and kick his shoes off, get mud all through the house, throw his dirty clothes all over the place after the woman spent all day long cleaning the house, don't even eat the food that she cooked, grab him some Taco Bell, sit on the couch and watch the game and say that that's what men are supposed to do. I would say that is absurd. You knowing that your clothes is fucked up, you should have a change of clothes in the car. You should be able to change your clothes on your way home from work, change your clothes at the job, or if you feel more comfortable with changing your clothes at the house so that she knows that you didn't end up at a hotel with another female. You come home, you take your shoes off at the door, you walk into the door with your socks on or just your bare feet if your socks are fucked up too, depending on what kind of job you have. Change your clothes in the living room. Put them into a laundry bag and then take them into the laundry room and put them where she's going to wash them. That way the rest of the house is clean. Appreciate the fact that she cleaned the fucking house. And even if she's a terrible cook, bro, eat that shit, because a lot of the times there are people that don't have a cook at the house. There are people that, you know, she'll eat up all the food. You come back hungry and she'll be like, yeah, I know. But appreciate that. You know, you walk into the house, man, the house looks nice again. Your food tastes great again. You know, the house smells so good again. You know, you gotta, you know, really put it out there. You might want to take turns. You might compliment how clean the house is today, how good the house smell on Monday, how good the food tastes on Tuesday. You know, different things on different days, and just make sure that you recognize, oh man, my shirt's got extra creases on it today. You did a real good job with this. Look at this. All right. You might take time out of your day and just stop on your way out to work and be like, man, this looks really good. I like the way you ironed this shirt. On your way out the door, show that what she's doing for you while she's at the house and you at work means something to her. Like what? Validating her is just like validating him. But we don't have those relationships anymore where validation is going back and forward. Confirmation doesn't go back and forth. Ladies, when your man take out the trash, thank him for not leaving that shit in the house. I appreciate you taking the trash out. It's his duty as a man to take the trash out. But your ass could have took the damn trash out too. So I appreciate you not making me have to put some shoes on and go outside and take the trash out. Plain and simple. And if you got the kind of man that puts a bag in the empty can after the fact, I appreciate you twice. Let me go get you a beer for that, because you I didn't have to put a bag in the can. Let me That's how this reciprocation works. You know? If we did this more often, I'm not going to say that there is no infidelity in relationships a lot of the times, but I am going to tell you that there would be less infidelity in a relationship, because a lot of relationships that have infidelity in it, the person that's cheating doesn't feel seen, doesn't feel heard, doesn't feel acknowledged, doesn't feel validated, you know, and they get that from somewhere else. They're in a chaotic relationship where you're only arguing with your partner on a regular basis. And when they go outside of their relationship, they're looking for somebody that they're not going to argue with, that they get validation from, confirmation from, that they are seen and heard by, which is one of the reasons why the wife can cheat on the husband with the instructor, because the husband's never home. This is why the husband can cheat on the wife with the secretary, because the secretary always follows instructions and caters to the needs of the husband to the magnitude that he's catering to the wife for the husband so that she can quit bitching. That's a twofer. Especially when modern Western women don't follow instructions at home, but they'll follow instructions at work for pay. But aren't you getting paid at the house too? It's a job at the house to follow instructions from the man. It's a job at the job to follow instructions from Ironically, men. So what's the difference? Besides needing to feel in control, and since you can't feel in control in your 9 to 5, you're going to feel in control in your relationship, because if he doesn't like it, you can divorce him. And if you divorce him, you take half his shit. So before you take half his shit, he'll submit. And that's why you want to be in control over at the house instead of being in control at the job, because the job will fire you. Your husband won't fire you. But if he was smart, he would have had all his assets in a certain location where your ass wouldn't get your hands on it, so that when you do get rowdy, he can fire that ass. Be like, nah, that's all right, Miss Ma'am. You signed 13 prenups that exempt you from everything. Special shout out to Noah. It's been a while since Noah's been at the show. I really appreciate you coming back to the show, Noah. Let's do one more. We got a couple more up here, though.
Went on a date, and he got weirded out because I gave a piece of my sandwich to a bird. We got sandwiches, and I ate 90% of my sandwich. All that was left was a small piece of the bread, about a square inch of it. I wasn't very hungry, and there was a little bird on the bench who had a cut on their little beak. I felt really bad, so I gave the bird the bread. And apparently, this guy thought it was weird of me to do that. I explained to him about the cut, and he just spent the rest of date acting weirded out by the whole thing. I went to the restroom, and when I got back, he was on the phone talking to someone about how weird I was for feeding the rat bird.
I like animals, so I don't have a problem with you feeding it depends on how it was fed, though. Did you throw it on the ground so that the bird could eat it? Did it eat it out of your hand? Did you have it in your mouth and let the bird eat it out of your mouth? How did you feed the bird? Was it on your shoulder when you handed it to him? Was this some Snow White kind of shit? Or was this the Cinderella feeding the bird thing? Or what happened with feeding the bird? I'm not really too sure about. But what I can say is that if you like animals, if you tolerate animals more than most people do, then you need to make that clear at the beginning of your engagements with other people. Then they know that these animals, if it's not just one animal, these animals are prioritized by you. If they're animal lovers, then your behavior with animals are not going to be repelled. If you don't tell them that you have an affinity for animals, you might do something with an animal. Oh, this animal's so cute. And they're going to want to buckshot that son of a bitch because they're not animal friendly. So, sounds to me like you did not ask the right questions during your social media chat with the other guy. And he wasn't just weirded out about the bird. You like animals and he don't like animals, and he doesn't know what to do about this because you're going to be an animal lover and he's going to be an animal slaughter. So to me, I feel like you dodged the bullet on that, because if something as shallow as feeding a bird made him uncomfortable to the magnitude that your date was pretty much ruined, he should have left at the park when you fed the bird instead of spending the rest of the afternoon being petty about it, taking you to the restaurant. That was a waste of money on his part because he's paying, and he don't like the fact that you fed the bird earlier. I don't understand that. I think that's ridiculous. I feel like you probably would have been more of a thing if you were feeding somebody else's child. I think it would have been more of a thing if you would have been letting a stray dog lick you in the mouth or something like that. But just feeding a bird, bro, I don't know about that. Y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe. Comment on that one. Let me know what y'all think about people feeding birds. And for those of you that are watching us on Twitter, I don't know if y'all know Twitter and Twitch, y'all can comment on the show and it will be seen up at the top of the screen there. So just note, this is an interactive podcast. You guys can chime in if you like. Let's go ahead and check with the next one.
At 25, I get told I'm the luckiest girl in the world because my boyfriend, who's 31, is hot. How do I respond to people? I love my boyfriend a lot. We've been together for a year, and it's the best relationship I've had. He's romantic, sweet, kind, intelligent, and insanely attractive. My issue isn't with him at all. It's with the way people around us comment on our relationship. I don't think I'm ugly, maybe average. My boyfriend says I have the prettiest face and a smile that lights up the world. But he loves me, so he sees me differently than others do. Also, I live abroad in KR with him, and the beauty standards are so intense and different. I'm sure that plays a part in all of this. I have gotten small comments from friends and family, even a few coworkers saying that I'm the lucky one in the relationship. It makes me feel like he's doing charity on me. It's like all they see is super hot model boyfriend and kinda ugly girlfriend. Yesterday, a close friend of mine sat me down and gently told me she thinks I should distance myself from certain other close friends. When I asked her why, she said they had gone to brunch and were shit-talking me for almost an hour, saying I didn't deserve my boyfriend and that he needs someone skinnier, prettier, and more successful, that even they would be better fits for him. I spent most of the night crying LOL. I know they are just jealous, but it's been a year of little comments, and now this? Ick man. These girls are friends I was going to have be bridesmaids. I'm just hurting lots. I think it all comes from the fact my boyfriend is shredded, goes to the gym multiple hours a day, does modeling. I am a plus-size girl. I have some fat on my body. I dress cute and nice, but at the end of the day, I'm a fat woman in Korea, you know? My boyfriend has been so supportive and always lets me know there's no one else he'd rather be with, that I'm the most beautiful person he's ever met. I appreciate him. I just wish I could get these comments to stop. I have no idea how to respond when people say this stuff.
There's not a lot you can do about those comments. I know, first off, your boyfriend tells you that he loves you and he thinks you're beautiful. So why do you give a fuck about what anybody else says? That's the first thing. Second thing, because I understand you're in Korea and there's a size limit over there. Over there in Asia, y'all, they got laws where if you're overweight, like people start getting fined for that shit. It's serious over there. So when somebody's a few extra pounds overweight, it's heavy over there. Not so much so here in America, because you could be like 500 pounds overweight, and they'll just give you a super size hover round and open the door so that you can slide in sideways. We don't care how big you get in America. But here's the thing: your friend that told you to distance yourself from the individuals that were talking bad about you for an extended period of time, that's a close friend of yours. You need, because she's the only person that's not telling you that your boyfriend is too good for you. So for all of the friends that believe that your boyfriend could do better than you, those need to be friends that you get rid of, because those will be the ones that will be trying your boyfriend while you're not looking, tempting him. So stick with the one that warned you that you got bad friends in your flock. Next thing, pay attention to your man, listen to what he says. Next thing, you understand that there's something about you that you can work on. He's shredded. He goes to the gym a lot. He's a model. You're not shredded. You can go to the gym more often than you do. Doesn't mean you're going to get shredded, but you could probably slim down a few pounds here and there. They got waist trainers. They've got supplements. You could probably get you like an hourglass figure that takes your big and beautiful and gives you a figure that you're more proud of. There's a lot of things that can be done that has absolutely nothing to do with surgery that allows you to not only get healthier, but get more fit. And then as a result, you will be extra attractive for him. Now, before you start making those kinds of changes, you got to make sure what kind of man that you got, because not all men want a skinny woman. Not all men want an hourglass woman. Some guys like a woman shaped like an M&M. So if he wants you to be the way you look right now, then you shouldn't change a bit. But if he wouldn't mind it, if you did change and you're not comfortable with the way you are, then you should be able to put forth the effort to change the way you are. Anything in anybody's life, no matter what it is, if you identify that there is a feature or characteristic about you that you dislike, that you can change without augmentation, then put in the effort and change that. Because I know they got some people, I don't like my forehead, I don't like my jawline, I don't like my nose. You were born with it, deal with that shit. But, hey, I could use a different hairstyle, I could put on a few pounds, I could lose a few pounds, I could do a few extra squats, I could go from having a beer belly to a 6-pack or at least a 4-pack, make some changes. Some skinny people wish that they could be buff like Scott Steiner, but that does not mean that it's going to happen. You might not be able to go from being slim to being bulk. You might be able to go from being slim to being toned, but be proud of who you are, no matter how big or how small that you are. Be proud of who you are. This is why I tell ladies that no matter how you look, you're never a 10, because there's always something about you that you can improve. At the end of the day, if in the event, I'm going to let that one slide. He said Morpheus reading Rainbow. I'm going to let that. That came out the left field. As soon as I saw that, I was like, what? Because I remember your boy Jordan LaForge from Star Trek on Reading Rainbow. And he was like, the more you know, Reading Rainbow. He got me there. But look, the reason why I tell women that you're never a 10 is because there's always something about you that you can change. There's always something about you that you can improve, which means that at the end of the day, if you claim that you are a 10, you are claiming that you are perfect, which means that you recognize that there are character flaws, that there's personality flaws, that there's physical flaws that you have, whether somebody told you about it or you can see it in the mirror, that you know could change, but you choose not to change them. Accepting your flaws without putting forth practical effort to change the practical flaws, that doesn't make you a 10. That makes you satisfied with who you are. Big difference. Which if you start calculating those character flaws into your identity, you start recognizing you might be like a 5 or a 6. You're not a 10. You might be a 7 or an 8 at best, but you're not a 10. If you start calculating your attitude and personality and stuff into the mix, you might be a 3 or a 4. Doesn't mean that you could fix some of these things, but I mean, you just don't want to, right? Most guys, you ask them what they think they are, outside of the incredibly handsome guys, most guys are going to tell you that they're like a solid 7, 6 or 7, something to that effect. The guys with the beer belly that doesn't really do much exercise, and they might tell you that they're a solid 6 or a 5, like they know that the average woman might rate them something in the mids. But every woman, no matter how jacked up she might be, swears up and down that she is top notch. Now, here's the problem with the lack of realisticness in this particular assessment. If you are aiming for someone better than you, and you are overestimating yourself already, the people that would still qualify for you, you believe are beneath you, which limits your dating options. That's a big concern. So if you think that you're a 10 when you're really a 6, the 7, 8, and 9 that really could have been on your level, you didn't want any of them. You only wanted the one that you thought was better than what you think you are. So realistically speaking, if you would have recognized that you were a 5 or a 6, you could have said yes to anybody that was 7 and above, and you still would have had more options. Likewise, women that don't want to date men that are shorter than 6 feet. There are plenty of guys that are good catches that are shorter than 6 feet. That's a lot of inches between the average height man at about 5'5" and 6 feet. That's a lot of men. And some of them are upward of $100,000 to $1 million a year. But very few are 6 feet and financially successful at the same time. Not an athlete. So if you're chasing the 1% of men that exist in your particular category of expectations, you are competing against 100% of the female population for 1% of the men, while 99% of the men that you don't want to talk to are not being chased by the rest of the women. So you realize that you're making it harder for you to find the right person because you're rejecting all potential suitors while trying to hit a triple lotto against a few 100 million women when there are a few 100 million men waiting to be chosen. Ask yourself this: would you prefer to be one of many, or would you prefer to be the only one? you're more than likely going to get the only one from the bottom 40%. You're more than likely going to be one of many in the top 10%. Think about that when you're picking and choosing. All right, fellas, ladies, that's what we've got for you guys for tonight. I want to make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Remember that we are live 7 nights a week. We've got a good show coming up tomorrow. We're going to be telling you guys what's happening with the student loan money for those college students. We're going to be talking about some stock trades and investment opportunities. We're going to be covering different stock trades that Donald Trump utilizes on Tuesday, different countries to invest, move, and live in on Wednesday, and then a few other personal improvements on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Sundays are always going to be questions and comments for the fans. With that being said, I want to remind you guys, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And again, fellas, we are about 75% male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. I give you guys this information to make you guys higher valued men so that you guys can make better choices in your personal life as well as in your financial lives, in your business lives. But this is not gender exclusive information. The ladies can take this information and go and make themselves better individuals as well. By changing your decision-making process, you can, in fact, become a higher valued individual that is expressing themselves with emotional intelligence, thereby attracting individuals that are of higher value to you. But you got to remember one thing that is clear. You are as valuable to your partner as you are willing to contribute to their success. Now, beyond that, you can be valuable to yourself. You can be like the best thing to sliced bread. You can be shit on a stick. But your value to your partner is gauged upon how well you contribute to their success. And that's both sides of the fence, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Xander. At about 10:35 Central Time, 11:35 Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be back tomorrow night. So I want to thank you guys again. I'm Xander. We're on This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity. That's my personal command. Potential knows no bounds, raising the bar.